everyone, how you doing today? My name is Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and this is a spring / Easter / holiday reading vlog. It is the Easter weekend this weekend and I am going on a little holiday. I'm going to visit my dad and my stepmom for Easter and just gonna take a few days away because after going to Australia, going on actual holidays is not in the budget. I am hoping to get to Yalk this year. I did start looking up pricing and stuff. So fingers crossed. I've kind of said that I'm going to save between now and June, and if in June I've got enough that I can just pay for my tickets and a hotel, I will go. But that's by and by. So for now, if I go on breaks or holidays, it's to visit family and just make the most of not having to pay for hotels. I've still not been reading loads this month. My slump kind of lifted a little bit, but it hasn't fully shifted. But I am optimistic because whenever I do go to my dad's, I tend to leave a lot of my distractions at home. I don't sit on TV all day, I don't have my PlayStation, so I'm not gaming. I might go on my computer a little bit, but I don't go on it very often. And my dad has a thing about phones. So I usually get a lot more reading done when I'm at my dad's than I might do at home. And so I was thinking about Easter and spring and this time of year, and a couple of years ago I did do a little video series where each season I picked out a TBR for the season and talked about some of the themes and things that I like to read around that time of year. And I kind of thought back to that and I was like, Easter, spring, we tend to think of, it's very fertile, it's a very big fertility, many animals, this is their breeding season. We get new flowers, it's the time of cherry blossoms, it's the time for almost like new beginnings and starting the cycle afresh. And those are kind of the themes that I was thinking when I picked out my books. I have one manga and 2 novels. Do I think I'm going to get through all of them? No, I'll be lucky if I just get through the manga. But she's gone from never caring when I film to now every time I film, she pops up. Mwah. So yeah, I also was thinking of colours as well. I wanted book covers that were quite sort of pastel-y because there's a lot of pastel colours around this time of year. You get a lot of sort of mint green and you get a lot of like pale blues and pinks and lilac and lavenders. Those kind of shades are very prevalent. So apart from one, all of these books I feel have very spring colours. And the first of those with the thought of that new, starting again, new beginnings, re-beginning, rejuvenation. I've gone with Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is book 2 in the series. The first one is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I do own all 3. I have been meaning to get to them for quite some time, but it's got those kind of light, happy, vibrant colours that I associate with Easter, and it follows the events of a year previous. I'm not going to say what happens, even though it's on the blurb. If you haven't yet read the first book, I'm not going to say what happens because it does kind of talk about the previous book on the back, but essentially it just follows Astrid a year later as she is kind of in a bit of a lost place and trying to regain that sense of self. It is sapphic and I am looking forward to it. Then purely because it has the colours and it also has cherry blossoms and it's the start of a new romance and new love, I have gone with Blue Flag Volume 1. You can see it's got those pale pinks and the blues that I was saying about that are very reminiscent of springtime. Loads of my friends have said that this is one of their all-time favourite series. I have been so hyped for this. This one's set in a high school and it just says here that love is already hard enough but it becomes an unnavigable maze for unassuming high school student Taichi Ichinos. Wow. Basically, you got these 2 characters that have started to fall for each other, only their same-sex best friends have already fallen for them. But like I said, I purely picked it for the pretty colours. And then finally, on the theme of birth and fertility and babies in particular, I've gone with Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. She has a limb difference and he is an amputee, and after a one-night stand she becomes pregnant. He doesn't just sort of run out, he's like, I'm going to step up, I'm going to be a dad. And so it follows them navigating that pregnancy when they're not in an established relationship. I've heard so many good things about this author and her writing, so I own 3 of her books because of how amazing people talk about her and the amount of rep she includes in her books, so I am very excited to get to this. So yeah, 3 books to read over. I leave today, I leave in like 2 hours. I come back on Tuesday sometime in the afternoon, so I've got basically 5 days. We shall see how it goes, because when I'm at my dad's we are usually quite busy. A lot of the time we go on a lot of walk. I tend to get roped into helping out around the house, which doesn't bother me. It's just like, as long as I know it's coming up, I can do it. But I do also tend to read a lot, because when we're not doing stuff, there's not really a lot to do, so I tend to just read. I also have some book mail this week. I've had 4 books arrive because I had a load of pre-orders and then obviously I didn't get paid and I didn't plan them very well, so I ended up with 4. I thought, quick vlog, I'll show you my little haul for this week. And like I said, all of these were pre-orders. We've got Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell, which sapphic vampire romance. We have Boys with Sharp Teeth by Jenny Howell, and this one is kind of, I've been told, similar to The Raven Boys, but it's also more like a murder mystery, and she ends up actually infiltrating into the school, the elite school, in order to find out who killed her sister and why. We have one that is technically a sequel, but I saw that it has sprayed edges and it said cat sprayed edges, and I was like, I don't care that I've not read the first one and that it's also technically a middle grade, I'm getting it. And that is The Cat That Saved the Library by Sosuke Natsukawa. This cover is so pretty. I love the colours, I love the little shinies, and look at the sprayed edges. Look at him, look at the kitty. Very happy indeed with this one. And then one that was kind of a surprise, I did not realise how junky this book was. I should really learn that when I read the synopsis, especially when it's a fantasy, I need to look at the page count, because this one is a chonker. This one is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson, and I mean, I was intrigued because of the fact it said Raven. And it also has this gorgeous gilding on the cover with this really pretty design. So this one just says, win the throne, destroy an empire, either way it begins with murder. I am looking forward to that. So that's just my pre-orders for this week. So yeah, thought I'd share that with you. But yeah, I'm gonna go finish packing. As like I said, I'm leaving very soon. I'm gonna go do that so I can just chill out until I leave. I gotta look pretty, even though I feel like shit. Okay, I have been really bad at updating. So let's just say it's Saturday. Is it Saturday? What day is it? Saturday. Yeah. So I got here Thursday and it's been a time. My body is doing stupid things, and then being a woman did its thing. Not sleeping, all of that. However, the thing that I've been terrible at is updating you, because I started out on a limb, as you saw on the train. I finished it last night. This is how you write romance. There was none of this shitty third act breakup. The characters communicated like adults for the entirety of the book. Nobody threw any stupid hissy fits. There was no unnecessary drama. Any drama that was there was relevant, to the point, made progress in the story. All of the characters were well fleshed out. All of the characters had multiple layers to them, multiple depths. From the very first page, I knew I was going to fall in love with... Actually, no, that is a lie. From the dedication, because I didn't realise that Hannah Bonham Young herself has got a limb difference. I didn't realise that. So when I read the acknowledgements and the prologue, the intro, and she was talking about when she had her baby and her thoughts and her feelings, I knew I was in for a beautiful healing kind of read, and it was going to be something that, you know, draws from her own experiences and from her own heart, but also has this character. And honestly, I did really connect with Wyn, not for the sort of the disability side of things, but more on the having the not ideal situation with growing up and relationship with her mother. Like, there was one quote that I got so excited for this book, you can tell. Like, I was tabbing my favourite parts throughout, and then I got to like this part and I just didn't tab anything because I couldn't put the book down. But one quote I did was, "It fucks you up competing against low expectations. Nothing feels like a win." Not gonna lie, that one punched me a little bit harder than I expected, and I kind of took a minute because I was like, yeah, it's kind of obvious this is a 5-star. I haven't even put it through Corpile yet. It is 5-star. This is currently book of the year for me, and I am so glad that I took the whim and I just bought 3 of her books when I was in town recently, and I just have 3 of her books because I've got a feeling this is going to become an all-time favourite author. And then I've stupidly gone and left it in the bedroom, even though I put it on my little pile to bring down to talk about in this video. But yesterday we went to Worksop to pick up my stepbrother and his partner. And while we were there, we just popped into the town, and we went to the Works, and the Works had it was Out in the Woods, I think something like that it's called, or In the Woods, Into the Woods, something like that, by Hannah Bonham Young. And when I picked it up, because I grabbed it first because it's got sprayed edges, and I then looked on the back and it was like childhood sweethearts, high school sweethearts, Sarah and Caleb, and I realised it was Wyn's best friends from in here. So that got a little squeal of excitement because it's, you know, characters I've already established and already have fallen in love with. Hello, Bubby. Come here. Hey, y'all. Winnie. 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 Let me say hello. No. Conversations happened and I have no idea where I was. Oh yeah, I got the sequel. So I finished this at like 5 past midnight this morning, and it took absolute... Hello, Bubby. Hey y'all, how you doing? And it took everything in me to not... I mean, okay, I lie. It took everything in me to stop reading after the first page of the second book. But I did stop myself because I was like, even though it would be great to go on and read the sequel immediately, I did bring specific books here for this vlog. But yeah, so we did that, and then we went to Clumber Park, that has appeared in a couple of vlogs in the past, but it was very windy and wet and rainy yesterday, so I didn't take my camera out. And there was a bookstore there, so I picked up a couple of books. Again, I'll show you those when I go upstairs. Like I said though, yesterday I knew my period was due, and then it hit while we were out, and I was like, yep. And then I was doing all right, and then last night when I went to bed I started to feel a bit sick. Woke up this morning feeling extremely nauseous and very not great. Touch wood, and like all the wood that is around me. The cramps haven't been too bad, and I'm not really in pain. It's more the nausea, the dizzy, and the feeling sick that's really hitting me hard this month. But we are going out again because we always do like a little charity shop sort of rummage, and I also really want to get some really cheap trainers. I'm down to my walking shoes as my only pair of shoes right now because my sort of faux Converse got thrown away when I went to Korea on stage in like November 2023. Why you get your ball? Come here. I'll throw it. Oh, you dummy. My trainers got left in Australia because they were kind of scratty by then, so I got rid of them. And then the really nice pair of winter boots I own, turns out that they were cheap, nasty, and destroyed the back of my foot, and I was bleeding every time I wore them. So now I'm down to my walking shoes. So yeah, today we're gonna go have a look in some charity shops. I'm hoping to get into my favourite one that always has some really good self-published books. So I'm hoping to get in there if they're open today, because obviously it is Easter weekend. That's the plan for today. There is also plans to go to Rufford, which is like somewhere I've never been, but I said I might not go. It all depends on how everything holds up while we're out in town. So we shall see. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna next start with. I made the mistake of bringing 3 kind of heavy romance things, and now that I've read this, I don't want to start another romance because I want to kind of stay in this for a bit. So I feel like I did myself a disservice with that. So I might hold off on Astrid Parker. I don't yet know. We'll see if there's anything in town that really grabs my attention. And if it does, then maybe I'll switch genres or something. Oh. She finally relieved it. So yeah, we'll see, because I don't really want to jump into a romance after this one was just so freaking good. She's so cute. But I'm gonna go because we're getting ready to go out now. Everyone's like getting dressed and showering and things like that. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and someone needs to play ball. So I'm gonna go do some of that. Minnie. Oh, dead leg. Come here. You want this? Good girl. Oh, there's another one. I can grab this one. Come here. You know I can't throw it if you do that, right? Good girl. I got no more. Oh wait, one more. Welcome to my bedroom. Thought I'd show you the books that I have got while I've been here. As said, I got Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young, which is the sequel to Out on a Limb. And these were the sprayed edges, and I was like, I need these in my life because I love them. It was the last one they had, so I got that. And then I got the Cloisters by Katie Hayes, which it's not in the best of condition, but it's not the worst. I had this on pre-order when it came out in like 2023 or 2024, but then when it actually came down to budgeting, I was like, really? Even though I am interested, I don't think it is ideal for me to pay for right now. And then, you know, I just ended up not getting it. And then because I want to read horror this year, I am on the lookout for horror books. And I saw this one where it said Grand Master of Horror, Ramsey Campbell. And this is The Darkest Part of the Woods. Haven't even looked at the blurb, I just picked it up because it said horror. Oh, it's got occult, hallucinogenic moss. So I feel like this is going to fit 2 or 3 different like subgenres of horror. That's that one. And then today we went into Mansfield, and there is one place in particular where I've said already I pick up really good, like usually get some really good self-published stuff. The self-published selection, there was a lot in there, but it wasn't to my kind of taste. It was more like thriller and crime, and I'm just not. But I got one that just looked really cool from the title, and I saw some knives on the spine. So I saw the little knives and I was like, I like it. And then I looked at the cover and it's like The Devil's Feast. And I was like, ooh, this looks quite cool. And yes, it is a mystery, but it is like a historical mystery. I just thought I would give it a try because I do like detective and those kind, and I do like historical sometimes. And also historical, we have No Life for a Lady by Hannah Darby, and this is one that I've seen. Hilarious. I just noticed something I'll tell you about in a minute. So this one is in 1896. I seem to like the 1800s. I've heard things about this one, so I thought I'd give it a try. But what I just noticed is that it is blurbed and quoted by Hazel Pryor, who I also picked up a book from. So this was actually the last shop that we went into. And first of all, I saw this and was like, I have just found gold dust, because this is an impeccable condition. Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry, which, you know, sequel to Legends and Lattes that I did love last year. I had to pick that one up. Then I saw a couple of years ago at the library, I saw a book, it was like Call of the Penguins. And it wasn't until I started reading it that I realised it was a sequel. And I've always sort of said, if I ever see the first one, I'll get it. So I did. And then the one that we went to in the middle, again, I wasn't really going to pick anything up. But one, it was the title, and I was like, I'm sure I've seen that floating around in the last few months, and it's quite a recent release. The other one, I recognised the author name, didn't immediately remember what she'd written, but the cover sold it for me. So the one that I was like, I recognise the name of is Kilt Trip, because it was like Scotland and Scottish. And then the one that was purely like the cover sold it was Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Lees, which I loved her tattoo. And I was like, oh my god, that's really, really, really pretty. I want that. I suddenly had the feeling when I remembered, I was like, oh, this is the one with like the Behrman brothers or something like that. And I looked it up and I was right. But this is the next series in that series where it's following sisters. But I think some of the Behrman brothers come into it. I'm not entirely sure. But I did look up, do I need to read anything before I read this? And it says that you don't have to. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a try and give this author a go. But yeah, you know, 2 hardbacks and 4 paperbacks for £6, whereas retail value, these would have been about £70 to £80. I love charity shops, and I especially always end up getting some amazing books. If you live in Mansfield and you regularly donate books to these charity shops, thank you, because I have never yet had a miss when I've come to do some book hauls here, and I always end up going home with a big stack of books. So yeah, this is not going to do well for my shelf reduction challenge though. But I don't know if I mentioned in my previous clip, because there was a lot going on this morning, but I loved Out on a Limb so much that I kind of almost don't want to pick up a romance right now, because I'm worried that it just can't, you know, it can't compete. And I've decided that if for some reason I'm not quite getting into it, I might give one of these two a try instead and swap out the books that I read for this vlog. We shall see. We shall see. There we go. I'm definitely probably not going to read any more today, because while we were out, my hip started to hurt so badly. It got to the point I couldn't even like lift my leg up off the floor properly because it just hurt so badly. And it's like they've all gone out to take the dog for a walk now, and I was just like, I cannot. I really want to go, but I just cannot. So I have stayed in. My dad has done some looking at my laptop for me. He's like dusted it all out. He said it was pretty good. It had some dust, but it wasn't too bad. So he's helped clean it. He's helped me clear out some of the storage problems I've been having, and had a look to see why it might be overheating, and he's figured most of it out for me. So I thought, well, before everyone gets back, I'd quickly film this. And then tonight I think we're just gonna chill out, watch TV, watch a movie. We've got the Formula One. My dad he's the guy that watches like all the practices as well as the main race and everything like that. So we've got qualifying and then the main race tomorrow. So yeah, that's probably what we're gonna do for the rest of today. Anyway, catch you on the next one. Doing? Come here. Oh, hello, gorgeous. I asked for that, didn't I? Yo. Hello, it is a new day. It's also raining. Easter ended up being not too bad, actually. The weather was quite nice. We went for a walk We went to Rufford Abbey, which you saw in those clips. My camera literally, I was not prepared yesterday because basically, I think I mentioned in a previous clip that I had kind of messed up my hip and that I was in a lot of pain because of women's body parts being assholes, shall we say. Yeah, that came out in force yesterday. I was really sore, really tender, really struggling. But we went out and I forgot to bring my battery. I didn't check my SD card, so that was full. I forgot to check my battery, so that was empty. So there are a few phone clips as well as the camera clips, which is why there's a difference in quality. Anyway, it was really lovely. It was a bit cold to begin with, but then the sun did come out enough that we ended up sitting in the garden for a bit. I, yet again, got a little bit of sunburn, which is great. How's my lip doing? Oh, it's still a bit bruised. It was overall a really nice day. We had good food, we had chocolate, we had a nice walk. I got to go somewhere that I've never been before, and I started a new book. So, where I said I may change some of my reading plans, I have. Because I have decided that instead of this being like, you know, Easter reading vlog, reading the 2 books and the manga that I picked out and reading those particular books, it's going to be an Easter spring reading vlog where I discover a new all-time favourite author. I did start Blue Flag. I got about halfway through it and I was finding myself just constantly thinking about Out on a Limb, and then, as I said, I bought this in the works and immediately was like, I just want to read it. So I gave in, and yesterday I started it, and between the afternoon and going to bed I got to page 184. It's not as good as the first one I read. It's like I'm not as invested in these characters. I'm more invested in the female main character of this one, and I was more invested in the male main character of the first one, but I'm still very invested, and I've still got a few quotes that I've kind of kept a note of. I haven't tabbed, I've only tabbed one thing, and that's something that I can implement because they're at like a couples counselling thing, but it's a week-long thing. It's not just like a sit in a therapy office. It follows Sarah and Caleb, who are the kind of side couple in the first book and are Win and Beau's best friends. And in this one, they're realising that after 10 years of marriage, they're both changing as people. She feels that she is inadequate, and she is feeling that she's never really done anything worth noting in her life. While he is scared of change and he is very happy with how things are. And when she starts to express that she is not happy and that she wants things to change, it makes him go into a spiral because he's then worried that she doesn't love him anymore, that he's not doing enough for her. And it kind of caused, because they're not really communicating the best way they can, it is causing their very first ever like major fallout. And at the start things are looking a little bit shaky, but throughout this so far we've been getting some insights. They're starting to communicate a little bit better through the guidance of the counsellors at this retreat and the other couples that are there. They are starting to learn different ways that they can try and communicate their thoughts, and they are starting to reconnect, and it is really well written. And it's another one, the first book was Hannah Bonham Young's debut, I believe, and she used her experience of having a limb difference to tell Win's story, because Win also has a limb difference. And when she became a parent, she had a lot of doubts and questions because of it. And then in this one, we have a high school sweetheart couple who got married very young. And again, she was saying that it's the same with her and her husband. They married very, very young, and they went through a similar kind of process of, after a few years of like, oh, she writes it so beautifully in the author's note. I just love how she writes. And it says, "Out of the Woods is my love letter to all of us who met their soulmate before they had the chance to fully meet themselves. Your teens is experimentation. Your teens is trying things out. It's not until you're sort of in your mid to late 20s that starts to click in. And obviously there are people who are the same at that age as they were as teenagers, but for the vast majority of us, our teen years are full of experimentation, and it's not until our 20s that we start to realise who we actually really are deep down. So I love that she acknowledges the fact that, you know, if you're already married and in a partnership like that at such a young age, it can lead later down the line to a bit of a void where you're like, well, who actually am I? And is this all I want to be? Honestly, I have flown through both of these books. And like I said, yes, I am still in a slump, but these two books, the fact that I've read, well, this one will be read by the time I go home tomorrow. There's just such a raw openness in these books, and it's like, even though they've been written from the perspective and the experiences of the author, it still feels like something that can apply to anyone. With the first book, I don't have a limb difference, I don't have children. In this book, I'm not married, I don't have a high school sweetheart. I'm still finding things in these books that is still relating to me in some way, shape or form. And just, as I said, the writing in this is fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, Easter has been quite nice. We watched the race, the Formula 1 yesterday as well. It was a really chill, whatever day. And then today it's just constant, it's just non-stop rain, as you can probably hear. And my dad's just gone out with my stepmom. I'm glad I stuck by and was like, no, I need to rest. So I'm going to go on and finish that rest, and I'll give you an update when I next have one. Okay, going to pretend it's not a week since my last update, but as you can see, I'm home. I have finished Out of the Woods, and while this one wasn't as good, in my opinion, as the first one, it did still have some absolutely beautiful moments. I am very quickly discovering that I love Hannah Bonham Young's humour. I love how she writes friendships. I love how she writes about healthy communication within relationship. And I love that even when there's drama, it's not misplaced drama and it's not unnecessary. It's always relevant to the plot. It always makes sense and it always resolves so well. So definitely this trip and changing my reading plans has definitely revealed to me I have a new favourite author. I still have two of her book. No, I own one more, and then no, I don't. I own two more. So I still have two more of her books to read. I was about to say, like, I own one more and then there's one that just came out, but this is the one that just came out because, like I said, I got the Sprayed Edge edition. So far both books have had, like, this one had me tearing up. Like, I'm still a little bit emotional. Granted, it partly I've realized in the last week that my depression is back, so you know, that makes me more sensitive to emotions, especially of the crying variety. But no, there was like a scene when it was reflecting on what happened with her mum and how she passed, and it took me back to when my mum died, and it was a very different way that it happened. There was no there was no final goodbye with my mum. It was very unexpected, and you know, she was saying about the last thing she said to her mum was telling her mum that she was beautiful. Hui, this is really difficult. Maybe I should have waited before doing this. But she was talking about how her last words to her mum were that she was beautiful, and she was like, it's almost, I don't, like, the universe knew that that was the last thing I was ever going to say, and it got me thinking about what was the last thing I said to my mum, and honestly, I don't know. All I remember is the last time we spoke, we ended the phone call and we were both laughing at something. And that brings me comfort because if you've been around the channel, you know me and my mum did have a very not great relationship. There was a lot of neglect. There was a lot of abuse in various different ways. It was also a very difficult dynamic because I was forced to become a young carer, and I was her carer from the age of 9. And so, you know, there was a lot of codependence there as well, but she was also my best friend when it wasn't bad. And there's a lot of very, very complicated and complex emotions there that I need therapy for. I am aware of this. It's just trying to find the right type of therapy for me that I can get with on the NHS. Has been a journey, but anyway, that's by and by. But when she was doing that, obviously that put me all in the feels, and just oof. There is a hospital scene in this. I'm not going to say what happens or how or why, but we do spend time in a hospital with like an emergency situation, and that was bringing back some flashbacks of growing up with my mum being in and out of hospital quite a lot and seeing, you know, it was giving me some feels, and it made me realise that I've always kind of had this attitude of like, you know, going to A&E, going to hospitals, it's not really a big deal. I'm so used to it. It's like second nature to me, you know, I just pack a bag, grab some snacks, off we go. I didn't realise until reading an emergency hospital visit in this. It's made me realise, oh, okay, that kind of attitude was more of a way to protect myself from the panic and the fear. And now that I'm old enough to understand that, it's like, woof. So yeah, lots of stuff in here. Even if I, like, you know, like I said, I don't really connect with the relationship because of, you know, I'm not married and I haven't been with someone since I was a teenager. Like, as in, you know, I'm not with a partner who I've been with for that length of time. I have been with people. You know what I meant. I know what I meant. Let's move on. So, you know, on that side of things, it wasn't, and as a couple, they weren't as much, like, I didn't connect with them as a couple as much as I did with Win and Bo in the first book. But I did still love both of them, and Sarah, like I said, a lot of her insecurities and her feelings of inadequacy. Oh boy, do I feel that. But reading this kind of gave me a little bit of a boost in my emotions, and I was kind of, certainly towards the end, where she was like, you know what, screw 10-year plan, I'm going to put things into place now. It kind of made me think, well, what are some things that I could maybe do, where it's like I've been thinking 4 or 5 years and I'm like, well, actually, could I start doing things towards these things now? And so it's gotten me to start thinking, and it's making me feel I am in a depressive phase at the moment. I am struggling to find stuff to make me feel good and to make me feel motivated. You've probably noticed my YouTube videos. I've kind of struggled since January to really keep my momentum going. Either I film a load of videos but then don't want to edit them, or I don't even want to film, but I know I still want to do it. So yeah, it's given me food for thought, and I did definitely enjoy it. It's definitely going to be either a 4 or a 4.5. Editing Kirsty will let you know here. But honestly, this trip and these 2 books have absolutely told me this is going to be an all-time favourite author for me. Hands down, just absolutely fantastic. This is how you write romance. Definitely an author that if you enjoy romance, or if you're like me and you struggle to find really good romance that's not like just, you know, full of smut or is kind of more focused on the sexy side. I read romance because I'm interested in the romance, not the having sex. This author does it so perfectly. But yeah, that does mean that my little Easter reading vlog is over. I hope you enjoyed those little snippets and the little clips showing what I got up to while I was away. I got to read 2 books, I found a new favourite author, and I spent a beautiful day at Rufford Abbey with the family. And all in all, like, there were a couple of bits throughout the weekend that I won't talk about that weren't very good moments, but on the whole it was a lovely weekend. And yeah, I'm just glad that I found a new author that I think is going to be an all-time favourite. So let me know in the comments, did you do anything over that sort of bank holiday weekend, if you have a bank holiday weekend wherever you are? So let me know what you got up to. Also, have you read any of Hannah Bonham Young's books, and what did you think of them? And if you haven't read them, please do, because oh my god. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all good, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.